I think the more you feel like I'm a friend, the more you'd want to work with me, because that's how I feel. I feel like Stories is a safe place to start to be brave on video because it expires in 24 hours. I'm just going to be brave for 24 hours. Just let this stick for 24 hours and then it's gone. Like no one has to see it again after that. If you are not saying what you're selling, no one else is doing it. You have to be the one. Hey, this is what I have. And so I just have no shame about it anymore. Like I'm excited about what I have to offer. And if you're interested, I hope that you want to get on board with me. And if you're not, you can keep going. It's okay.
Welcome to the Brave on Video podcast, y'all. Listen, now the goal of this podcast is to inspire people to be brave on video, y'all. Know I am a camera confidence coach, and I decided to do this podcast because I want to give you an injection of inspiration, but also action. We're not only about inspiration, we want you to take action with all the things that we share on the podcast. And I wanted to encourage you through the experiences of people that I really admire and people that I feel are brave on video consistently. The word is consistently, okay? And consistency looks different to everyone. Today, we are speaking to Christine Deaton. She's one of my favorite people in the online space. She is a luxury photographer and joyful educator, and she has a heart for capturing all of life's fleeting moments. Let me tell you something. We gotta give a round of applause for Christine. I worked with Christine some time ago, and I was like, I have to have her on the pod because I was so interested in her journey, and I felt like everyone needed to hear and know and understand Christine the way that I do. Now, she's also known for the perfect balance between lifestyle and editorial photos with a sun-kissed and dreamy photo edit. Okay, and today we are talking about photography a bit, but we're also talking about Christine's video journey and her launching an online course and getting on camera. And we even talk about the first video that she ever created. So you want to stay tuned for this episode. Grab your tea, your coffee, put your AirPods in and put me somewhere on the table or something, and let's dive into it. Well, Christine, welcome. Hi, how are you?
Hi, so good. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you on the podcast because, listen, you have such, your brand is you. It's your brand is those brands where you meet someone and they're the same in person and you're like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. That's you and your brand. And so, yes, even though I know you, I want the world to know you as well. And so I wanted to have you on the Brave on Video podcast because you're such an inspiration in just, I tell you all the time, the way that you maneuver, the amount of things that you're doing and leveraging, being a mom, running a business, like all of those things, it's so admirable. And you are also one of the most brave people that I know because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I would be running around and doing all those things.
That's how I feel about you. So this is so flattering.
No, I'm serious. I'm so serious. So, hey guys, this is Christine and I want you guys to meet Christine. I'm going to let Christine share a little bit about how she started and her journey because she is completely killing it. She's a powerhouse. And so, Christine, I'm going to just let you take the stage here. But if you can let us know a little bit about you and how you started and what you do, that would be amazing.
Well, I can go super far back and let you know that I went to college and finished my 5-year degree in 4 years as a biomedical engineer. And I'm definitely not a biomedical engineer today. That was a lot of hard work, but I'm super proud of it. I love being a student. I could have been a perpetual student. I love learning, and I love sharing what I learn with other people. So that's kind of a little bit of a background. I've always been super creative and into being expressive creatively. So it was just natural that I fell into a creative field when I decided not to do engineering anymore. And the way that happened was several years ago, I had a friend who asked me to take her family pictures for her for their Christmas card. And I was not a professional photographer, had no intention of becoming a professional photographer, but I had a really good camera and I had loved taking pictures of my little babies as they were growing. And so we went out there and we did it. And I had used at the time a program called Photoshop Elements. So it wasn't full Photoshop. It was literally like the beginner's guide to Photoshop. And you could buy, I think they still called them actions at the time. And you could apply them to photos and, change the warmth and the mood of the photo and edit in that way. It was like kind of a one-click thing. And I remember doing it and being so excited about what I was creating. I had so much fun with my friend and her family. And I was so proud of what I had created for her because I thought, I am not a professional by any means. I have zero training in this. This is just me like playing around and learning as I go. And what I gave her as a final product, I thought was so cool and so much fun. And so from that point on, I just started like making it a stronger hobby that I played in until one day I just said, I really actually want to do this. Except I was not as brave as I thought I was at the time. And I kind of played small. And instead of becoming a full-time photographer, I decided to become an editor for a full-time photographer. So I was kind of her personal assistant and helped her, and she taught me her ways, and I kind of shadowed under her. And we kind of just traded me learning from her for my work. And I edited for her for a long time until one day I kind of had like a personal crisis, and I thought, I've got to do something and I've got to make money now. And so I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for this dream that I've been putting off because I was scared of not fitting in, not being good enough. I was scared of others telling me I didn't belong. And I just said, I was desperate enough to make a change in my life that I was willing to be braver. So that's when I took like legitimate lessons on how to use my camera. I got better at my editing skills, and I kind of slowly pulled back from being a personal editor to photographers worldwide, and kind of started letting those clients go and started to build my own client base as the photographer. And that's what I did. I've been trying to grow and learn ever since.
Oh my gosh. Listen, first of all, there are so many different leaps that you've taken. And that in itself is so brave, friend. Like, hello. And I think, well, first of all while being a wife and mom along that journey as well, which is absolutely inspiring. And also, hey, Hazel.
Sorry, there's Hazel. Yeah. Speaking of being a mom, one of those kids is coming home right now. And she's
like, I'm right here.
Yeah.
So you took another leap on top of all that bravery last year, and we worked together on that journey. And it's you becoming an educator, right?
Yeah.
Or just solidifying yourself as an educator with a specific product. What made you want to become an educator? And I want to connect that back to you and your journey of, all that you shared with us just now.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, just like I said earlier in my journey, I could have been a perpetual student forever. I love learning, and I love like sharing what I learned because I get so excited about it. And so it was just natural for me to always kind of be sharing tips and tricks as I learn them. And I had a lot of other photographers who jumped into my DMs as my business started to grow. And they would ask me different tips and tricks, or how do you do this? What do you use for that? And I absolutely love helping them. I'll never turn someone away. If it is like, if I can answer it in a few sentences in a DM, I will absolutely tell you. If it's something that's going to be a longer conversation, that's when I decided to start opening up personal mentoring, whether it has to do with the way you're shooting in camera, or if it has to do with the way you're running your business behind the scenes, or, client communication, those kinds of things. So that's when I opened up my one-on-one mentoring. And then the questions started to become more consistent about my editing process. And then there were several other photographers who were asking me specifically if I had a preset and if I was selling the preset. And I kept saying, that's a dream. Like, I'd love to do that. Maybe I'll sell my personal preset. But I knew that that would be a bigger thing than just handing over my preset. Because as I've shared with you, like, there are tons of presets out there that you can just literally download in one click and get playing with. But I can't tell you how many presets I downloaded that I was just always so disappointed. I was like, this did not do what I thought it was going to do. And there's so many reasons for that. I mean, we're all using different equipment. We all shoot differently. We use light differently. Even different parts of the country have different needs and different lighting when you're shooting. And so what my preset's doing for me out here in the Southwest in the desert in full open sun is going to be different, for someone who's shooting in the Pacific Northwest with dark trees and cloudy skies. And so I knew I wanted to share my preset, but I wanted to do it in a way that would teach my students how to manipulate it specifically for their needs so that they weren't ever disappointed in the product that I was sharing with them. And that's when I found you, because I knew that I wanted to do this the right way the first time. I wanted to be able to share all of my understanding and experience of Lightroom and Photoshop with my preset to make sure that they got the big picture so that it was nearly a one click for them, and that any adjustments they were consistently making, they could save for themselves and really create their own unique signature style. So yeah, that's kind of how. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, so I just want to say, like, working along with you and seeing the transformations that you provided for people, like within the process. And even like on your launch, like seeing people who were using it and seeing how they approached business differently from just being around you and learning from you, that was like definitely game changing. So if you are a photographer and you are listening and you're here because you want to learn how to get onto video, it's so important also to transfer the power of visuals and visual branding to your work. And Christine shoots with all skin tones, so I'm always intrigued. I'm like, Christine, how can I fly you out when I'm pregnant? Like,
oh yeah, I'm flying out, girl. It's happening.
Let me start saving my coins, right? Just seeing your presets on different skin tones is always like mind blowing to me, because that's something that is not always out there, right? Like, so just wanted to say that. But the transformation that you provided with your product was just mind blowing. And just in talking about that, like your ability to get on camera and share, and this is for both sides of your business. So you have the education side and you have the photography side, right?
Yeah.
Just seeing how you get on camera and you maintain your visuals and all of that within what I would say is one of your main platforms for selling. Correct me if I'm wrong. Instagram stories. Talk to me about how you came upon that. Like,
everything social media, I felt like I was always a little bit slow to jump onto, because I don't know, I'm probably going to date myself, but I'm of the generation where like Facebook was just rolling out when I was in college. And I was like, what is this? And why am I giving the world all of my information and my life? Like, it was very sketchy. Like, I also grew up with like, don't ever go into a chat room and tell someone where you live or what school you go to or your age or all that
stuff. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yes. All this stuff now. Like, I was very skeptical. And so I was slow to use Facebook, and I practically still don't use it. Like, it's a very minimal. And then I remember when Instagram rolled out, and before it became part of Meta, it was its own thing. And I was slow to use that too, because I thought it was just weird to like give so much of myself at first. And I was using it in a personal way at first. I wasn't using it for a business. And I was sharing my children and then there was that, I felt like there was that side of it where people were like, oh, you're just bragging if you're using social media. Like, you're just bragging about your life. It's a highlight reel. This isn't real. Like, you're just showing off to other people. So it felt like a double-edged sword to use it at first. And even then when I transitioned to using it for business, that also felt a little bit weird. But so many people that I admire are like, and you're one of them, say all the time, like, if you are not saying what you're selling, no one else is doing it. You have to be the one. Hey, this is what I have. Like, and so I just have no shame about it anymore. Like, I'm excited about what I have to offer. And if you're interested, I hope that you like want to get on board with me. And if you're not, like, you can keep going. Like, it's okay. So, yes, I do use Instagram as like my main social platform. I'd yet to jump onto TikTok. Again, I'm like so slow to join all the causes, but I do love Instagram, and I especially love stories. I feel like stories is a safe place to start to be brave on video
Yes.
because it expires in 24 hours.
Ooh.
And if you're like, I don't on that or looked in that or what I said, or I felt like I stumbled over my words, I'm just going to be brave for 24 hours. And just let this stick for 24 hours. And then it's gone. Like no one has to see it again after that. So that's part of why I love stories. And then guess what? If you do love it and it resonated with a lot of people and you got a lot of feedback on it, you save that as a highlight and then it's there and people can re-reference it. Or you save that entire video down on your phone.
As a reel.
Yes. And you just figure it out. You repurpose it however you want. But I also feel like it was really easy also to talk into my stories because I hold my phone in front of me like I'm FaceTiming a friend.
Yes.
And then I'm just talking to my friend. And it's just very natural versus feeling like I have to have a script or it has to be long, right? Because stories is going to cut me off. So if I can just get through that one, 15 or 30 second loop that they give me and say what I want to say, then I can move on to the next thing. And as I know you can relate, our neurodivergent brains sometimes get a little bit caught up and lost when we're on video. And I'll be like, oh, what was I going to say? But I feel like in those short stories, you can do that and it's okay. Like yesterday.
Yes, you do. Story. Yes. And you're right. It's totally okay.
Yeah. And you just like stay authentic and transparent in that moment.
Exactly.
And people want to keep hanging out with you and just like, be with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And those things make me connect to you even more because then there's this element of, oh, she's just like me, kind of thing. And that relatability is what we are looking for, especially in the online space. Now, you dropped so many gems. We got to go back and pick them up. We just got to keep moving forward. So the first thing that you said that I love, that I've heard before, but just you saying it now just gave me a whole different perspective, is that stories last for 24 hours and then they expire.
Yeah.
And you said, if you can be brave enough for 24 hours, then, I want to take that because I love that. But let me tell you what I love even more when I look at your brand. Your consistency with stories, as in you, like, I don't know if you map it out every like month or if you like know, like, I know you're going to Europe and you're like selling that right now in stories. So Christine sells in stories really well. But what I love is that you can be brave enough for 24 hours, but if you are selling, like consistently, and consistency does not have to be every day. Consistently can be like every week or every 2 weeks. I love that. I know that if I want to get on your list and I want to, shoot with you, that's the place that I'm going to come. Right? Yeah. Like you're going to announce it in your stories. And then sometimes I'll hear you say, either I'm sending out an email about this or I just sent out an email, so I feel like it's a gathering place so that we know if we want to work with Christine, she's going to share it on her stories. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, totally. I feel like, I don't know. I definitely don't map it out. I probably should. One of my exciting things for this year is I hired a VA and, / like business mentor. So I'm going to like try and have them help me be more consistent in my planning. Because I feel like because I've been this one woman show for so long and doing all the things and spinning all the plates that I can get lost in working ahead so that I can rest. I'm always like only one step ahead when I'd like to be 10.
Oh, yes, same. Until I hired my assistant.
That is a goal for sure.
I love that.
When I do show up in stories, I do try and stay consistent as far as the way I show up. So I'm sure you've noticed I always announce what day it is because stories last for 24 hours. Because I don't always post like right at 8 a.m. I want people to know, like, when was she talking about this? Because if I'm like, it was a really hard day, and then the next story, I'm just like, oh my gosh, the best thing happened. You're going to be like, what happened between these two stories?
I love that. That is genius, actually.
So I always start with like one of my stock photos and just say what day it is. So, and it's just the day of the week. I don't put the date or anything. It's just Sunday through Saturday or whatever. And then I either show up with, there's there's no particular order after that. I'll either show up in a video of myself, just making an announcement of what my day looks like as a photographer, just a little bit behind the scenes, something I'm excited about, maybe something I'm selling, or a reminder about things I've been selling for a long time. Hey, do you remember that I have an editing course? Do you remember that I have a freebie for you? Do you remember to sign up for my email newsletter? We're going to be doing spring mini sessions soon. So be there, just things I want everyone in my audience to remember.
Yeah.
And then things that are ways that I want my audience, whether they be a student or whether they be a client who takes photos, who I take photos of, I want them to remember what it's like to work with me. Mm-hmm. So I will always post when a student has a success story. Yes. So then students can see before and afters. I will always post when either a student or a client has a review for me, and share that with my audience because I want them to know how people feel after working with me on both sides. I will share when a client's gallery is ready with their photos so that my clients see like, this is what you can expect as a final product when you're working with me, and get them excited in that way. And sometimes I will just share my life. Like I've kind of gotten over
I love those
fear,
too.
right? Yeah. And I'll just be like, I'm at my kid's hockey game and he got put in the penalty box, or my dog is being like extra sassy today, or the sunset's beautiful, or I'm on a date with my husband. Like I'll share those things too because I love seeing those things. Yeah. Like you said, like we can relate to other people. And I think the more you feel like I'm a friend, the more you want to work with me because that's how I feel.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. Like, I feel like just the relatability of it all is so, like you said, it's kind of like we're friends before we're actually friends, right? Or before we actually meet in person, and that makes the other person so much more comfortable. I've been saying lately. Yeah, I've been even with the emergence of Threads. It's another layer that makes me fall in love with people I've been following forever, but I never really heard their thoughts and didn't get their vibe to their brand. But now I can do that with Threads, and I'm like, oh, I actually really like you. So just that relatability is so important. So we're going to wrap up, but I want to make sure that I just went back to, things that you said that I felt that were so important. And we'll definitely add show notes to this because you dropped so many gems that I can't recap them all in the time that we have. But I want to ask Christine, do you remember what your first video was like?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we didn't use it, I'm sure. It's amazing. The very first time you record, the stage fright that you get, I was like, what is wrong with me? I am in stories all the time, just talking my face off like I'm talking to a friend. Why can't I do this when I'm trying to record for education? It was like a little robot showed up and it was horrible. I was like, I can't do this. But you were such a good motivator. And you're like, just relax, just do it again. It's fine. And then you watched it and you were like, there's nothing wrong with this. But I felt like a robot. Yeah. So one of the biggest takeaways, is that you just learn to get better at it. Like everything we've done, like my skills with the camera, like yours with video and tech, like all of these things, we get better and more refined the more we do it. So the first time you show up, you are going to feel awkward and you're going to be like, that is not what I want to look like or feel like or sound like on video. But the only way you are going to keep getting better is to just keep showing up and practicing and becoming more comfortable and natural in the process. So yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Now that was so good. My last question is, okay. What does being brave on video looks like to you in the future and why?
I think being brave on video in the future for me personally is just going to consistently keep showing up and not being worried about what other people are thinking in the moment, because I get out of my own head. I'm in my head too much when I'm worried about what other people are thinking. And then I'm not showing up as the funny Christine, as caring, as the cheerleader. Like none of those things are coming out when I'm still worried about what I look like. So instead of like focusing on me, I just want to pour into other people just like you do. And I can only do that when I'm willing to be vulnerable, because I'm asking them to be vulnerable in lots of different ways, whether that's in front of my camera, whether that's learning from me. So being brave on video in the future is staying vulnerable myself and just consistently showing up and being out of my own head.
I love that. That was really, really good.
Oh,
And just from the heart and
thanks.
honest. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so
Of
glad.
course. Oh my gosh, Christine, this
Yeah,
was so much fun. I feel like I know that I could stay on here and talk to you for the rest of the day. But I
I
want
know.
to respect your time and respect everyone else's time. Would you be able to tell people where they can find you in the online space?
Absolutely. So my website is ChristineDeatonCreative.com and Instagram, Christine Deaton Creative. Those are my two favorite
Awesome.
platforms.
Yes, and we'll be sure to leave that
Yeah.
information down below so that you can find Christine and
Yeah.
be inspired by her and jump onto her stories
Yeah.
because they're so good. I promise you, you'll feel like you're right in the room with her.
Awesome.
All right,
Yeah.
Christine, this was amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this with me. I appreciate you from the bottom of
First.
my heart.
Oh, thank you so much. Love you.